and we get the information that would say, hey, maybe we need to look at the validity, the assessment validity of the writing common assessment. And maybe we need to take a look into Kelly's classes and say, hey, what's going on? Why reports? This is where we're going to first start. Well, for one, we heard your feedback. We know how valuable data is in education, and particularly to world language programs. You need data for so many different things: measuring progress, measuring your students' performance, seeing how they're doing on the path to proficiency. We heard you. We heard your feedback, and we worked hard over the past months, really getting this put together for something that is going to be really, really valuable for you and your district. And with this feedback, right, providing you something that you need with data is also giving you a seat at the table. We love our other core content areas, but it's so often that world languages are sort of left out on the outside. This data from Extempore Reports is going to give you that seat at the table to not be left out anymore and to be included with all of the other core content areas who have everything they need, but now you have what you need as well. That's why we're having reports. Next, the value of data. I really cannot emphasize enough. Everybody here knows, and Jess and I know it so well. This reports feature item that we have is massive. There is so much that you can do with it. And when you really see it, what it looks like and how you can use it, you will also understand the immense value that it brings to your program, to your teachers, to your students, to your whole district. So that's the value and power of data. Finally, it's really the final piece of the extempore puzzle, right? We first started with assessments, we had practices, then we have scoring and feedback of those practices very much on the teacher level. Last August or so, we finally completed our reports overhaul, rubrics overhaul, where we redesigned our rubrics to help them be a lot more accurate on measuring assessments. And this is sort of that final puzzle piece, right? The reports from the assessment, from the practice to assessment to feedback to rubric. Now we can put it all together and have that end piece of the report that says, hey, you did your classes, you did your practice, you did your assessments. What does it all look like at the end of
it? In just a second, but let's look here first. So I can see my instructors, their campuses, the average assessment score, and this again includes everything they've done during this time period in the platform. Something that they've made themselves, something that's been provided to them, it's all there. You can see total number of submissions and then not submitted. So that's so far so good. I can see now a little bit more detail, and I can see it's broken down into class. So Sarita Sosa teaches 2 class periods, 3rd and 7th period, and I can see the averages for both of those across everything that they've done in Extempore. I can also see Julia Jimenez down here. Her scores are a little bit lower. So you can see here again, well, it's not great, right? It's not great for Julia Jimenez. She's got a 65.94. And Sarita looks to be doing okay. She's almost at a 90 or an 82% average. Okay, so they're substantially lower, right? What I can see is also, but they are both doing the assessment. Okay, so we're gonna navigate to a different tab called Educator and Class Insight. And the picture is becoming more clear, right? As we click, Julia's on the struggle bus. Sarita seems okay though. Okay, again, we're just looking at those speaking and writing. Those are the common assessments. So let's add some more teachers to the mix. So I'm gonna go back to my drop. There we go. So again, I can see the instructors, the class periods that they teach, and then their scores for each class on those common assessments. So good news, the teachers at Laytonville are knocking it out of the park. That's not unusual. Carlos and Diego are the most high-performing teachers that teach Spanish 2 this year, and they're leaders, right, on their campus throughout world languages. So that's to be expected. But what we've seen here is that Julia really does need some support. So no doubt, Coordinator Kara, she's on the case. She has got some options to provide that support that she needs. whether that be, sending her over to a different camp to Laytonville to do a classroom observation. Maybe we can get her in PLC with Diego, Carlos, and then buddy her up with Sarita as well. So
we're going to get into story number 2, which is also quite interesting. I'm going to stay on this educator and class insight page so that we can learn more about the Spanish 1 program. The person I want to focus on here is Kelly Pasternak. And the thing about Kelly is that this is Kelly. She's been teaching now for 10 years, I believe. This is her first year teaching Spanish 1. And what you'll notice, once the scores load, is that Kelly's scores are a bit different from the rest of her peers within Extempore Reports. And that's going to cause some concern for Coordinator Kara. Hey, there we go. What do you see here? You see that Kelly on Spanish 1.2 writing, common assessment, practice 2, practice 1, and the speaking assessment, 97s across the board, 97s and a 91 on the writing assessment. Those are some high scores, my friend. And lastly, the idea that I had in mind is that Kelly, because this is her first year teaching Spanish 1, she's not too familiar with how to use the lower level scoring rubrics. And because she wants her students to like her, she's been skewing their responses a bit higher. But the other thing that you'll notice is not only are Kelly's scores pretty high across the board, but there's something also up with the Spanish 1.2 writing common assessment. Why are those scores so high? Now, the thing about Extempore Reports is that we don't have the reason for why these scores are the way they are. But what it does is it allows you to see, whoa, something's up, right? It allows you to know, okay, why are Kelly's scores so high? Oh, why are the scores for Spanish for the writing common assessment so high? And that could be assessment validity. It could be some serious overachievers in Spanish 1. We don't know what that answer is. We cannot, correlation is not causation, as we know. But it allows the coordinator to dive deeper into this, right? And so the upshot, like I said, is that there's something going on in Kelly's classes and with this writing common assessment. And we get the information that would say, hey, maybe we need to look at the validity, the assessment validity of the writing common assessment. And maybe we need to take a look into Kelly's classes and say, hey, what's going on? Why are her scores so high? Maybe that's a conversation. Maybe that's an observation. Maybe it's looking at the rubrics. It could be a variety of different things. You need help. Now we want to get into looking at the two different sides of things. The students who need help and the students who need perhaps enrichment. My concern as Coordinator Kara is concerned is to find which students did not pass the common assessment. So that's another one to filter down, okay? We want to see which students did not pass the common assessment so that we can give them the remediation and tutoring that they might need for the upcoming 4th quarter. Now you'll see I have all of these extra drop downs down up here. You can imagine what they do. If I click student, I can search for an individual student if I really wanted to. But I'm just going to focus on this pass fail drop down. And you'll see pass 1.2K, excuse me, fail 102. And then NA just means that the response has not been graded or it has not been submitted. So we don't know if they passed or failed, right? So I only want to see fails. I'm going to uncheck pass, uncheck NA. And within a second, it will populate and it will show every student. Boom. Our threshold was 65%. So anything less than 65% is marked as failing. And now I can see here within my reports, every single student that did not pass the common assessments. Now, how do I go about sharing that with our teachers? Well, I'm going to click these little 3 dots right here. I'm going to click export, and then I can export it as any type, CSV, Excel sheet, or Google Sheets. Give it a name, it exports, opens right away, and then you can share that doc or sheet with your teachers to say, hey teachers, send a quick email. These are the students who did not pass the common assessments. You can sort them by class. They go in and see, okay, these are the students that need remediation. These are the students that need to go to tutor.
Cliche absolutely intended, but wait, there's more. So you can see on the left-hand column, we've been kind of toggling back through a couple of these tabs, but you'll notice we've just barely scratched the surface with Extempore ISD. So I did not want to forget to mention that we have a whole section based on usage. And really, this I think is a great way to see kind of at the 30,000 foot level, right? We're going to look at the questions that have been assigned. We're over 25,000 questions assigned in Extempore ISD. Very good. You can see the proportion of what's been submitted and what hasn't been submitted. Also, look at that. We're almost at 100. We're at 99.2 graded versus ungraded. I really love these graphs that show the student submissions by month worked. And I've been like making them for you. Well, now you have this access in the platform that you can access anytime. And what's great about it is you can see usage by week. I think it's spectacular. You can see how many questions have been assigned that week, how many have been submitted, how many instructors have been active, and then what's the recording time like? I love this. Someone said, how are my teachers using it? Well, look at the question response types. You can really get an idea of the breakdown in your district by seeing, who's using this for writing, who's doing simulated conversation. Maybe we use synchronous groups more than anything else. So there's another one buried. There's just so much to tell you about, but I love the pie chart so much. So